Hi, and welcome to this short video about biomes. So ecologists call biomes these large-scale communities or ecosystems that are shaped by the physical environment surrounding them. And terrestrial biomes in particular are shaped by two main abiotic factors, precipitation and temperature. And we're standing out here in the tundra, which is an example of a terrestrial biome where the temperature is pretty cold. I really should have a coat on, and the precipitation is fairly low on an annual basis. The biosphere consists not just of terrestrial biomes, but also aquatic biomes such as freshwater systems, as well as marine biological zones. And if we go back to just talking about terrestrial biomes for a minute here, we can take a look at this graph, which illustrates what I mentioned before, which is the fact that the terrestrial biomes are, again, determined by combinations of temperature and precipitation. So if we look at temperature along the x-axis here, and precipitation along the y-axis here, you can see that the tundra that we're standing in today is down here on the lower corner where the temperatures are really cold on average, and the annual precipitation is pretty limited at less than 10 centimeters a year, which is not a whole lot of water. On the other end of the spectrum, where temperatures are really warm and precipitation is very, very high, we see tropical rainforest kinds of environments. And then you get different sorts of biomes that occur in between. In general, we tend to see grasslands, deserts, tundra, depending on the amount of precipitation, forests, and we have, again, a large variety of biome types, even more than are actually illustrated in this particular figure. And I just want to show you some photographs of different kinds of biomes as a way of introducing you to the fact that the world is full of many different kinds of climatic types which reflect differences in vegetation and environment that provide challenges for the animals and other kinds of organisms that live there. Okay. Distributed throughout the globe are these different biome types, and it's no surprise you may see tundra way up in the north here in Alaska, as well as in other parts of the world. We see temperate coniferous forest in Canada, coming down into the US a bit. We see things like desert and semi-arid desert in gray here, tropical forests in the Amazon in pink, over on the other side here in West Africa, the other side of the world that is, in Asia, Australia. So you can see that there aren't distinct lines, but that altitude as well as latitude and precipitation amounts are going to determine these different biome types. And again, these are just some of the types of biomes that we might see. So just to show you some pictures here, tropical rainforests, as we mentioned, where the temperatures are warm and precipitation is high, provide a very unique kind of environment for organisms, and are the place in the terrestrial part of the world that are the most diverse in terms of numbers of species. Savanna in African plains, where you see zebra. Here are some other pictures of savanna showing the kinds of animals that may be associated with these vegetation types, wildebeest, other large herds of antelope. Deserts. In the top part here we may see saguaro cactus in Arizona. We can have colder deserts, we can have warmer deserts, and that will again determine the kinds of vegetation and in turn determine the animals that may be found there and other organisms. Chaparral, typical of some places in California as well as the Mediterranean, this kind of shrub-like vegetation. Another picture of the chaparral. We have some temperate grasslands here, which include the prairie lands. Much of the U.S. was composed of prairie before it was converted to farmlands for corn and wheat and other kinds of crops. The temperate deciduous forest in autumn is quite beautiful, and of course here in New Hampshire we're pretty familiar with this kind of vegetation because these temperate deciduous forests are where we live, and coniferous